Welcome to VidZ, your home for careful consideration of our common concerns. I'm Dr. Ted Noel. Last night, Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu had a news conference where he presented half a ton of documents from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard who were actually running the Iranian nuclear program. In them, he demonstrated that the Iranians had come to the negotiating table under false pretenses. They had never actually gotten rid of their nuclear program and had done a lot of things to make it so the moment the coast was clear, they could just pop up and almost instantly make a bomb. This was radically different from anything President Obama told us. But something curious happened last night. CNN, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, CBS made no mention of this. Fox News covered it live. They had all kinds of reports on it. Other outfits covered it. But the mainstream media were busy with all sorts of inconsequential things. This was the biggest spy scoop in the world, probably the top five in the top five in history. Half a ton of documents that were simply loaded up, driven out of Iran by the Mossad. And yet the big legacy media companies don't even cover it? Could it be that there's a real reason why the president calls them fake media? Now let's back up a little bit. We find all kinds of leftists arguing that Trump is running against the First Amendment. He wants to abolish the First Amendment. And the First Amendment is a very simple statement. And we will just read it right here. It says, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. Now, I left out the stuff about other things, but that's what it says. Congress makes no law that says you can't talk or that says you can't print. And it's very clear that there are limits on this. There's a famous statement that says you should not yell fire in a crowded theater. The actual statement's slightly different, but the point is you can't have the freedom to say things that would cause immediate harm. And that's one of them. But absent that sort of a horrible context, you can say anything you want, and all you have to do is look on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, and you find the left saying things that are exceedingly hateful. But remember what Thomas Jefferson said. I may disagree with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. In other words, you can say what you want. The Constitution properly says you can say it. I don't have to listen to it, and I don't have to agree with it, but I don't get the right to block your assembly hall where you're going to give a speech and prevent people from coming in who do want to hear it. I don't have that right. That's rioting, and that's illegal. But many colleges have allowed it to go on. So when I look at this, I go, okay, what does the First Amendment allow? It allows us to speak. It allows the press to write whatever they want as long as it is not manifestly false. That falls under the laws of libel and slander. Now, because Donald Trump is a political and public figure, the laws of libel and slander are stretched a bit. They get a little more leeway to say things that are perhaps opinion and not labeled opinion, which may not be true, but they get away with it. It has to be really far out to get nailed. But what does Donald Trump say when he says they're the fake media, they're lying media? He's telling the truth. They have lied about him. Did he call for them to be restricted in their ability to print or to speak? No. He made one rhetorical comment about maybe the New York Times should lose their license, but the New York Times doesn't have to have a license to print. But what happens is you have all of these so-called news outlets deliberately ignoring something that absolutely underpins everything that Donald Trump's been saying about the Iran deal. Remember, in the campaign, he said we want to get rid of it immediately. Well, he's kind of dragged his feet on that, but he's going to be hard-pressed to certify that they're in compliance this time around when you have all those documents. And the Iran deal is a case where Donald Trump was right. It was a terrible deal. The mullahs got everything they wanted. I mean, $160 billion more or less. In return for what? Lying to us? There was nothing good about the deal. But what do you see today? If you Google Netanyahu, what do you find? You find Fox News covered him last night. Today, you find 3 or 4 commentators standing up saying, well, it doesn't change anything. What they found, we already knew all of that. Well, if you knew it, why'd you do the deal? So what do we have? I mean, even on the noon talk show on Fox, you have Jessica Tarlov saying, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. It's as if saying those words meant something. Donald Trump has never advocated for anything remotely looking like getting rid of the First Amendment. The Democrats want to get rid of the Second Amendment. At least we've finally gotten them to be open about that. But Donald Trump hasn't. Yet all of these lefties are claiming he does. He got something good in Korea. They grudgingly admit that it was a good thing. But will they tell you that Obama did nothing to get it? No. You see, the whole point on fake media is they refuse to report anything good about Trump. Something on the order of 93% of all of the stories about Trump are negative. Bash Trump, bash Trump, bash Trump. They're happy to hire James Clapper, who is already admitted lying under oath to Congress. He's now a security analyst for CNN. He's getting paid. And what does he tell Trump? Look out, there's more coming. Trump knows what's out there, and the answer is there's nothing out there. He didn't collude with the Russians, yet all of these people are constantly telling lies about him. Saying they are fake is not saying I want to get rid of the First Amendment. He is absolutely right. They are using the First Amendment to lie, and there's nothing you can do about that except point out their lies. You see, the answer to speech that is bad is speech that is good. And you must answer a lie with the truth. Yes, it's true that a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth gets its pants on. But you keep pointing out the truth. Obama said, oh yeah, if there's any problem with the agreement, there's instant snapback sanctions. There weren't. We can verify everything. No, we couldn't. He lied, he lied, he lied. The media refused. They now tell us that there's nothing there and Trump will cause huge problems if he decertifies the Iran deal. Well, guess what? When he decertifies the Iran deal, the Europeans are going to come along because now they've been briefed on all of the stuff that's in the stolen documents. Hats off to the Mossad. They know what they're doing. And now they know that Iran is a bigger threat than anybody ever thought, and that it's time to straighten things out. Let's go right to the nub of the point. The mainstream media, also known as the legacy media, that's CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, those guys are not willing to report what's actually happening. They're not willing to report all of the goodness that happened from the tax cut. They're barely willing to report the Korea progress. The problem is they can't not report it at all, and they won't report on Netanyahu. Why? Because all of this says Donald Trump has done more good in a year and a half than Barack Obama did in 8. And he did good by undoing the work of their favorite poster child for Marxism. You heard it right. He's a Marxist. The leftists are Marxists. It's time to call them by that name, too. Please support VidZet on Patreon. Like us on Facebook. Follow us at Twitter. And until next time, I'm Dr. Ted Noel. Thanks for watching.